Market news now. A rally in Asian markets started on Wednesday with early gains paired as the US-China trade row erodes investor confidence. Wall Street had provided another strong lead with the Nasdaq approaching a record high, while energy firms in Asia pressed on with their rally following more gains in oil prices. But after 2 days of gains across the region, Asia could not maintain its morning momentum and key markets were mixed in the afternoon despite forecasts beating Chinese trade figures. The Nikkei dipped slightly to close at 22,644 points. Hong Kong's Hang Seng rose 0.4% and the Shanghai Composite Index dipped 1.3%. Over in the United States, the S&P 500 inched nearer to a record high on Tuesday, lifted by Amazon, Alphabet and Microsoft. There's also a strong second quarter earnings season that is fueling optimism about the strength in the US economy. The Dow Jones Industrial rose 0.5% to end the day at 25,628 points. The S&P 500 gained 0.25% to 2,858 points. And the Nasdaq Composite Index was also in the green, adding 0.33% to end at 7,883 points. And so for now, for more on the markets, we cross to my colleague Arabile Gumede, who's waiting by at the JSE. Arabile, what's happening?
Yeah, well, good afternoon, Nompu. Good afternoon, Nompu. Well, of course, yeah, around 2/3% to the good, the JSE today. A little bit here, a little bit there, everywhere. Monday, of course, started off in the red. We saw some green yesterday and some green as well today. Some earnings news as well continuing to tap into the market, of course. We're seeing a few of the banks, and today MTN as well coming out with some earnings results on that front as well. As you said even earlier, there's obviously confidence as well in South Africa's economy. Where exactly do we sit on that front? A lot happening with the rand as well, moving within probably a range of around 13.30 and around 13.45 or so particularly. So how exactly is everything moving at this point in time? Let's check in on those local and European markets. As you could see, of course, the market there in fair green territory, except the rand, however, dipping down a little bit as well today. Makwe Maselela from Makwe Fund Managers joining us today as we unpack the markets. Makwe, thank you so much for the time this afternoon. Let's kick right off into those earnings results as well. Let's talk about MTN. Is that business, do you think, finally going to be able to brush off its history? Because that is perhaps one key element that investors may be looking at.
Not that easy, but ultimately they can. I mean, just look what affected their earnings. Some of the interest that has to do with the fire in Nigeria, some of the issues with Iran's money that they cannot get back. So you still get a bit of that. And you check as well, you know, the associates, what they used to contribute, not what they used to contribute before. So at some point, I think MTN is a company that is not supposed to be dictated by the market, but they should be more innovative so that people can follow them. I mean, for MTN to say, hey, we're starting to focus on music streaming, my goodness, they should have done that long time ago, you know. Yeah. So they should be more creative, you know, more forward-looking. So that way they should be able to do something. It's good to see that they still make money from voice. It's good to see that they still make money from data, digital. But back home here, we know the noise from the ANC saying, come October, we want to see data prices going down. So they just have to find another way.
How do you think that's going to affect business across the spectrum for these mobile entities as well? Do you think that they'll be able to make the money they used to make? And of course, data becoming now a bigger and bigger piece of business, that's going to affect.
Not really, unless it's going to be a question of volumes, you know. Okay. Prices will go down, then it means they have to start selling more, then they can continue to make the money. But at the current rate, then if they have to sell at a different price, a lower price, unfortunately they're not going to be able to make money. But now more people will be able to afford the data, and I think it's something that needs to happen, because generally, other than them, it will affect other businesses, because that's where the whole thing is going. People are talking about the fourth industrial revolution. You need cheaper data to be able to do that.
Yeah, the second biggest market, as you mentioned earlier, Iran being a very, very big problem as well. They're just in terms of subscriber numbers, they're around 44 million odd in that front. Do you think they'll be able to shrug off the negativity that comes with that market and then be able to repatriate the funds that they're... It's something that has been going on for the longest time and still unable to get back those funds.
Very tricky, and we know that on Monday the new sanctions by the US kicked in when it comes to Iran, so it's going to be very difficult for them. And November there's another one, I mean the sanctions kicking in again when it comes to Iran, so it's going to be very difficult, especially when it comes to the money from Iran. But at some point MTN managed to make good money, good earnings, without even using that money from Iran.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see what comes out of that. Anything else in particular you're expecting for the week? I know tomorrow is a public holiday. Maybe some more earnings news coming out the remainder of the week. We're still looking out for some banks as well.
Sure, and also what was interesting, the construction sector is becoming more interesting.
Yes.
The story of Muriel Roberts and Avon and Alton, you know, that's very interesting to realize that the very same guys, they own 25% in Avon, and they're majority shareholders when it comes to Muriel Roberts. But I like the fact that the board of directors of Muriel Roberts said, listen, we are happy, we're not going to take this on review, but we still feel that it's a good fit for us to go ahead with Avon. So hopefully maybe something can be worked out.
Yeah, that will be actually of keen interest to watch out for. It's a saga that has continued for quite some time with them jostling for different positions. The rand at around 13 rand 40 cents against the US dollar. It's been trading between there, 13.30 at some stage. Does it get better?
I think it is, and mainly at the back of a weaker US dollar. I mean, for the fact that maybe there's a possibility that we can see these trade issues affecting the US economy. If we can see some signs of that, then that will tell you that the US Federal Reserve, they don't have to increase interest rates as fast as they thought, and that will be negative for the dollar and can benefit us. And the fact that we have just seen our business confidence turning, you know, that's also good for us. So, you know, the rand still stand a chance.
Sustainability of that uptick in confidence?
So far it is, given that what the Reserve Bank is talking about when it comes to interest rates, and we are just seeing that people are starting to put more money. We've just seen this, the BRICS summit, we've just seen these trade issues. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise, because people start now to believe in themselves. Economy starts to invest more into themselves, so that can have a nice positive for us.
Very quickly as well, the oil price in itself sitting at $74.59 a barrel. Really muted trade, but it keeps flowing within the exact same line. But with the Iranian sanctions coming on board, one would have thought that there'd be perhaps some sort of knee-jerk reaction, or has the market sort of priced that in?
Unfortunately, Saudi Arabia, which is de facto leader, they produced less, so that itself affected the, the prices, and the fact that we have seen inventories coming out of the US falling. But what we have to note as well, we know that Russia, US and Saudi, they're supplying almost a third of the global oil demand as we're talking today.
Yeah, so that will be a key mark, and obviously details for South Africa where exactly we'll go with our petrol price. But one international story, here's Elon Musk saying that perhaps he'll take the company private at some stage, perhaps at 420 US dollars a share. It's currently at around 380, if I'm not mistaken on that front. How smart is he? Or how crazy is the man at this point in time?
I think both. You know, he's smart and crazy. The guy's been very innovative. And I think we have to give him a benefit of a doubt. And for the fact that the share price went up, I think some people believe exactly that is doable. But it's very tricky, you know, because the question is how you're going to do both, because the guy himself is prepared to hold another 20%. He's saying current shareholders can still stay. It will be very interesting one to see, because I think all in all it's worth almost 72 billion. So it's a space that we really need to watch, and maybe the guy is re-engineering this whole thing when it comes to private equity. I think let's give him a chance and see what comes out of the whole thing.
This guy makes probably one car a month, if that, and yet his company is actually bigger than Ford, which makes more cars than that on a daily basis, right? So it's absolutely crazy and a fascinating company, and let's see what Elon Musk can do with that. Makwe Masilela from Makwe Fund Managers, thank you so much for the time this afternoon. $6,503 US for one Bitcoin in Rand terms, that's 90,900. That is where the markets stand for now. Please do enjoy your Women's Day tomorrow, but Nompumelelo and Nzinga joining you right after this.
SABC News can reveal just how easy it is to buy explosives used in these robberies.
The very worrying factor is that very few arrests have been made.
Uma bazizinto ngami engingazazi mina ngazi izinto ngabo abanye abazaziyo bona ukuthi zinjani. Angifuni bazenze bahle ngegama lami.
Siya Kolisi comes out, skipper number 61 for South Africa, the first black South African captain.
A true hacker will go after his or her target. And that regardless of the obstacles, so long as the objective is there, that hacker will meet their objective.
Getting access to that type of information is not the easiest thing to do. So you have to have a certain concerted attack pattern to be able to get access to something like that.
There is a big challenge for us to stop this reef, Kloof Driefontein Reef, from becoming a killing field of the mining industry.
We've now passed the National Youth Policy, which guides all departments, because when you talk about youth development, you're not just talking about what the NYDA must do. It's what every other department must do. Sports and recreation, social development, the police and everybody else.
We need a solution. We need, if need be, let the president address us once a month and tell us what is he doing about youth unemployment.
Political consciousness that those young brave leaders had. You would remember very well that it was rife politically.
It's not actually operating in compliance with our rules and regulations. We really take stern action.
We all have a responsibility as South Africans to play our part in strengthening our democracy and building an ever better and prosperous South Africa.
Join your host, JJ Tabani, on Frankly Speaking every Sunday at 8:30.
A South African business confidence gauge has ticked up, which suggests an improvement in business sentiment. The South African Chamber of Commerce and Industry's Business Confidence Index rose 1.0 to 94.7 index points in July. That compares to 93.7 points in June. The gauge, however, remains lower than where it stood in July last year. Key drivers for the uptick include